protected by absolute immunity.
What the J.D. Vance said out loud that federal officers have absolute immunity from criminal charges as he defended Jonathan Ross, ICE agent who shot and killed a U.S. citizen trying to flee in her car. The FBI has taken over the case, blocking state officials from accessing evidence, interviews, or the scene. Before the federal investigation into themselves even started, government officials already decided Ross acted in self-defense, despite video evidence contradicting that claim. If federal officers are allowed to act with impunity, we're living in a police state where no one is safe. And it's unclear if Minnesota can even charge Ross without access to the evidence. But in Philadelphia, District Attorney Larry Krasner issued a warning to ICE.
If you do that here, I will charge you. You will be arrested. You will stand trial. You will be convicted. And you will do your time because Donald Trump cannot pardon you for a state court conviction.
But here's the bigger question. Why are conservatives backing the rise of a police state through ICE, something they claim to oppose? The agency's vastly expanded surveillance, allowing phone tracking without warrants, remote device hacking, facial recognition, and AI profiling. But conservatives seem fine with the federal government's expansion of power because it's being wielded against people they dislike. But it puts everyone at risk. ICE needs to be abolished, and if Democrats take control of Congress in the midterms, it should be on the table.
That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity.
What the J.D. Vance said out loud that federal officers have absolute immunity from criminal charges as he defended Jonathan Ross, ICE agent who shot and killed a U.S. citizen trying to flee in her car. The FBI has taken over the case, blocking state officials from accessing evidence, interviews, or the scene. Before the federal investigation into themselves even started, government officials already decided Ross acted in self-defense, despite video evidence contradicting that claim. If federal officers are allowed to act with impunity, we're living in a police state where no one is safe. And it's unclear if Minnesota can even charge Ross without access to the evidence. But in Philadelphia, District Attorney Larry Krasner issued a warning to ICE.
If you do that here, I will charge you. You will be arrested. You will stand trial. You will be convicted. And you will do your time because Donald Trump cannot pardon you for a state court conviction.
But here's the bigger question. Why are conservatives backing the rise of a police state through ICE, something they claim to oppose? The agency's vastly expanded surveillance, allowing phone tracking without warrants, remote device hacking, facial recognition, and AI profiling. But conservatives seem fine with the federal government's expansion of power because it's being wielded against people they dislike. But it puts everyone at risk. ICE needs to be abolished, and if Democrats take control of Congress in the midterms, it should be on the table.
All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Yahawahshi, Rakakadash. This the brother Bakalah while I'm here with another hopeful edifying lesson to the elect body of Yahawah, Yahawahshi. And I'm going to read this copies right. United States Code, Copyright Act. This copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor for fair use. Right? So it's just, this is for commentary, education. In the video you just seen, that said they got this lady from Minnesota that got killed by ICE. And they said there was video evidence, or the evidence speaks that it was contrary to what they're saying. And your Vice President J.D. Vance is on the screen now saying that the ICE officer got absolute immunity from this crime or alleged crime that happened in the killing of this lady in Minnesota, right? So that's showing you where America is right now, right? Where your government the state of your government is right now. Basically, this devil is a part of the wrath of this devil. I did a video on that, Revelations 12 and 12, because more or less this devil is going to come down with great wrath, and this is a part of that. And it also tells you in 2nd Ezra chapter 15, I think it's 16, they shall be like madmen, sparing none. And this is basically an example of that. And they, this is just a small example of how these devils are going to be. This is Second Ezra chapter 16 and 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision, and in reproach and trodden under foot. For there shall be in every place, and in the next cities, a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. And they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord." Right? So this is just an example of that, how they're going to be. They're going to be out here slaughtering people, and your government is going to be backing them, basically enforcing them to do so, right? And the people of Babylon, the people of Egypt, their hearts, what the scripture says, and which I'm that's out of the book of Isaiah chapter 19, which I'm gonna get into that. The hearts of the Egyptians shall fell in the midst of it, right? So this killing of this lady in Minnesota is an example of how this devil is ultimately gonna be, because all he got left is the sword, right? I got another video I want to play. I'm gonna play this video here. So it says this guy's a whistleblower. ICE is importing tactics from the Izzy state, right? So he's a whistleblower, right? I don't know who he is. It just popped in my feed. It says retired U.S. Army officer called out ICE Izzy training brought back to the states. So he's a U.S. Army veteran and whistleblower. Anthony Agolera called out how Izzy impression tactics are being imported to the U.S., including through training programs with immigration and custom enforcement, right? So we also know that they use Palantir, which is a Izzy state um, surveillance tool, right? That the small hats use, right? In that Izzy state. And also use flock cameras, right? They can hack into your phone just like the lady said in the first video, right? So this is all part of this devil's agenda, and who's backing them. Amalek, you know, they're behind all of this. These devils that try to pretend like they're, all the holy ones or the chosen ones, but we see them for what they really are, right? The synagogue of Satan, right? So that's Revelation chapter 9. Chapter 2 and 9, I think.
Come to your neighborhood. Think again. I have been to Israel where ICE agents and DEA agents and other three-letter agencies train with the Israelis. And they bring those tactics back
says the U.S. officers killed legal observer Renee Nicole Good during immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. It says officers from U.S. agencies like ICE have trained with the ISIS military and police for decades, right? So these devils have been training for decades, man. You know, with the ISIS state and their military.
Families are suffering every day. The oppression that we export, we bring it right back here.
So yeah, this devil is being revealed, man. You know, these devils are being revealed, and you see, and they also, I think they call this lady a terrorist. Here's a more video. Here's a comment from ACLU. It says we condemn ISIS killing of a Minneapolis woman today and called on federal agents to withdraw from Minnesota immediately. This tragedy is further proof that ICE is out of control, endangering our communities, and must end its lawless operations before anyone else is brutally hurt or killed. Right, I just read that. Second Ezra chapter 16 and 71, it says 70. I'm gonna start at second Ezra 16 and 70. It says, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Right. So they shall be like in every place, in every city, in the next cities. Right. Just like they said, it's like this comment. Right. They was they out of control, endangering our community. This it must end its lawless operation before anyone else is brutally hurt or killed. The lawless man, Esau Edom, he's coming down with great wrath, and he's gonna be like a madman, sparing none, right? As the scripture says. There's another post. It says Emily Heller, an eyewitness, is speaking out to set the record straight. It says officers were screaming at Renee Nicole Good, move, move, move. So she moved, and they shot her multiple times, right? Damn. So they was telling her to move, so she did. And they said they shot her multiple times. It says then Noam and Trump branded her a domestic T-ist, domestic T-ist. Though, they branded her a domestic T-ist. Does anyone see how absolutely insane this sounds, right? So that's how, there's I wanted to make a video on it. Maybe I get to it through the spirit, relating to that bill, that law that they just passed, the NSPM 7, the National Security President Memorandum 7, pertaining to domestic terrorists. And it says these protesters, more or less, you in opposition of the government, that's exactly what they're going to deem you, a T-ist. Like they said her, she's a domestic T-ist, right? So they basically committed murder, allegedly, on a white lady. That's how she looked, presumably, you know. And they and labeled her a domestic T-ist. Oh, I got one more, forgot. This one right here. Another post. It says, in America, if a federal agent shoots you in the face, the president would call you a T-ist. right? So we see what the stage is being set here, man. You know, the devil is setting the stage, and anyone that they deem a threat, you know, combatant, even though you're exercise a right, because more or less, you know, this lady, uh, from the evidence, like she really didn't do anything that warrant them to shoot at her or anything like that. But you know, this devil, they're gonna justify uh, their actions, right? I think I'm gonna play this one more time. I don't know how it sounds. It's something, you know, these devils, they be manipulating this technology, you know, these platforms and everything. They can manipulate the sound because the sound doesn't. It sounds like lower than what than it should be.
That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. What the f? JD Vance said out loud that federal officers have absolute immunity from criminal charges as he defended Jonathan Ross, the ICE agent who shot and killed a U.S. citizen trying to flee in her car. The FBI has taken over the case, blocking state officials from accessing evidence, interviews, or the scene. Before the federal investigation into themselves even started, government officials already decided Ross acted in self-defense despite video evidence contradicting that claim. If federal officers are allowed to act with impunity, we're living in a police state where no one is safe. It's unclear if Minnesota can even charge Ross without access to the evidence. But in Philadelphia, District Attorney Larry Krasner issued a warning to ICE.
If you do that here, I will charge you. You will be arrested. You will stand trial. You will be convicted, and you will do your time because Donald Trump cannot pardon you for a state court conviction.
But here's the bigger question. Why are conservatives backing the rise of a police state through ICE, something they claim to oppose? The agency's vastly expanded surveillance, allowing phone tracking without warrants, remote device hacking, facial recognition, and AI profiling. But conservatives seem fine with the federal government's expansion of power because it's being wielded against people they dislike. But it puts everyone at risk. ICE needs to be abolished, and if Democrats take control of Congress in the midterms, it should be on the table. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. What the
And you know, you seen there, it says some state governor, he's basically he's opposing ICE, and he said if they come here, I'm trying to find out what state. I didn't catch.
But in Philadelphia, District Attorney
Yeah, oh, Philadelphia. It's a district attorney of Philadelphia. He's opposing the actions of ICE in Philadelphia, right? Just the book of Isaiah, chapter 19. So that's that division that the Lord created. It says the state versus the federal, the state government, the federal government, and the opposition, right? So that's even with Trump deploying these ICE agents, the military, into these states against the wishes of governors, which the governor is the head of the state, and using the federal government to oppose the state government, right? The president is overriding or whatever, however is however is legally stated. Basically, he's as the federal as a representative of the federal government, he's opposing the state by deploying ICE agents against the wishes or will of the governor, right? So that's that division. Even with even on the government, even in that sense, right? It's all division. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 19 and 1. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahawah rideth upon us with a cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, right? So these people, that's what you're more or less witnessing. These people in the protest, that's why they're in the uproar. And they're like it says at the last, it says the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And you're seeing that being demonstrated. So we're gonna to, to go on it further. we're going to see what it means. It says melt, because we understand heart means mind, right? So these people are being affected by the actions of Yahawahshi and causing division. So slide here. It says Masa.
Strong's H4549.
Masa.
Masas.
It says that says melt. It says to dissolve, melt, to waste away. It says to melt, vanish, drop off, melt away. To faint, grow fearful, right? So that's it. To faint, grow fearful, waste, worthless, to cause to melt. So these people are growing faint and fearful in the mind, right? Through the actions of what's going on, of the devil, right? And we understand that Yahawah is controlling all of this from the left and the right hand side, right? It says the Strong's definition. It says figuratively, to waste with disease, to faint with fatigue, fear, or grief. So that's what it is, to faint with fatigue, fear, or grief, discourage, faint, be loose, melt away, right? So these people are in their minds, they are fatigued with fear and grief. And this is an example of that, because this is more or less a growing and a lingering issue. Is these agents are going in these cities and states, and it's causing people, to be weary, fatigued in the mind, because this is a clear violation of people's rights, clear violation of legal procedures, clear violation of the Constitution, right? And people are growing grief and then fear, fatigue with fear and grief, because of these events that's happening, right? People are being hauled away to these detention centers. People are being murdered. People are being labeled domestic T-ist, and it's supposed to be, people are exercising rights, peacefully protesting, but they are being considered an enemy or combatant, right? The book of Isaiah, chapter 19 and 1, again, it says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahawah, by Hashem Yahawashi, rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the items of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, right? So these people are being fatigued with fear and grief, because the Lord is causing this division to happen. This is basically the oracles, like the scripture says, and the oracles means the prophecies, the words of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, the words of God, and this is His will, right? Verse 2, it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And I'm going to show another video of basically demonstrating that a little, seeing this demonstration.
The storm is here. When we come, one, we go all. No one can stop what is coming. Get here, guys. We need you in Minnesota. These people are terrorists. And all you liberal commie put your hands to yourself, or you're gonna get hurt today, all right? We executed one of you yesterday. You understand that? Don't give them a press. You're just talking to white supremacists. Do not give them your attention. Do not give them attention. Do not give them attention. Do not feed the trolls. The storm is here. When we come, one, we go all. No one can stop what is coming. Get here, guys. We need you in Minnesota. These people are terrorists. And all you
You see that? Damn fucking Edomite, the devil. You know, he that's that division that that the Lord is said he's gonna bring it. So you see that devil there. I guess he a pro Republican, a white supremacist, Edomite supremacist. And he says we kill one of these leftist T-ists today, you know. So that's that division that the Lord is bringing, and it's only going to ramp up, get more intense and more intense, right? This is Isaiah chapter 19 and 2 again. It's off the same subject that what happened in Minnesota, right? And what those ICE agents, they sitting back not doing anything because they're doing the will of the president, you know. And that's that division that you see there, these Democrats and Republicans. This is Isaiah 19 and 2. It says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." See what he says? He said, "We need you here in Minneapolis. Come to Minneapolis, right? And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to idols and to charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to wizards," right? The spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst of it. So more or less, that can pertain to your government's constitutional rights. Because if you go into this word shall fail, it says to empty, to lay waste, to make void, right? To make void. And that's what the spirit of America is. The spirit of America is the Bill of Rights. Right? Um, it says the Spirit of America Bill of Rights refers to the core principles of American liberty, enshrined in the first 10 commandments that the that the bill that the bill that the Bill of Rights Institute and National Archives guarantee freedoms like speech, religion, fair trials, reflecting a commitment to individual rights, limited government, and the pursuit of a more perfect union, a spirit emphasizing vigilance, participation, and justice for all citizens, right? So it tells you, says key guarantees in the Bill of Rights, first 10 amendments. The First Amendment, freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition, right? For example, right? So these people are peacefully assembling. That's protest. You assemble they're peacefully assembling in the streets, exercising their rights. But that spirit of Egypt, which is the spirit, was the Bill of Rights, the spirit of America, is felon in the midst of it. And the Lord is making basically it void. It's void because, the American Constitution has nothing to do with the New World Order, basically, And this is basically all the efforts to get you people ready for the New World Order. This is what they're doing, and they're using the force of the sword to do so. Esau coming down with that great wrath. Isaiah 19:3, it says, "And the spirit of Egypt shall fell in the midst of it," right? And the spirit of Egypt shall fell in the midst of it, midst thereof, Salakia. And the spirit of Egypt shall fell in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to idols and to charmers and them that have familiar spirits and to wizards, right? So the spirit of Egypt is felling, right? Like it says, shall fail means to make void, right? So the Constitution, but basically is becoming void. What void means? Void generally means empty, right? Lacking legal force or a state of nothingness, right? Lacking legal force or a state of nothingness is empty, lacking legal force. Void is a void. It says not valid or legally binding, right? And there's many examples of this. Even your current commander in chief said that the First Amendment is, we got to do away with the First Amendment, so to speak. Because like stated earlier, your constitutional right is not a part of the New World Order. And these events that's happening in America, pertaining to how these two government forms, these two forms of government is in opposition, is 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 uh, is what the Lord pro, what the Lord has purposed for Egypt. I'm gonna go back to verse 2. Isaiah 19:2, it says, "And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek the idols and the charmers and them that have familiar spirits and to wizards." Verse 4, and it says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, the Lord of hosts." Right? That fierce king, that cruel Lord and fierce king is Donald D. Trump. What is it? Donald, whatever his middle name is. Your current commander in chief, which is Nero. Right? So yeah, you see this lady. It's been an Edomite lady. They said she was a domestic. They labeling her a domestic T-ist, right? Which I said, like, that's what they're doing. They're they're creating these bills or these unrighteous decrees or policies, in efforts to further their agenda, which is the New World Order. You people holding fast to this Constitution, you're in the way, and they're more or less they're practicing world domination and world extermination, meaning coming down from the elites, right? And if you're in the way, I mean, if you're pro-constitutional, you're basically in the way of their plans and their attempts are going to be extermination. I'll read this again out of Isaiah 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and 72. I think it was, or 70, and that should be it. This is second Ezra 16 and 70. It says, "For they shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, and they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord." Right? So that's what it is. They practicing world domination and world extermination. They're gonna be like madmen, sparing none. What that means? They're gonna be slaughtering people, right? And like I said, you seen this. They try to justify it and saying that this guy was injured. That's what they were saying. Even the president, your current commander in chief, saying that this guy, this agent, was injured and he was, in, you know, retaliating or something of that effect, right? And you see in the video statements, eyewitnesses, that didn't happen. It didn't happen the way they trying to say it happened. And then they label this lady a domestic T-ist. See how more, what more so they're gonna do to the men of the Lord. You know, if they're gonna label this lady, clearly she didn't do anything wrong. She was told by eyewitnesses, they told her to move out the way, and that's what she was doing, and then they opened fire and killed this lady, and then labeled her a domestic T-ist, right? So I'm gonna go in and off there, hold edifying to the elect, and I'm gonna say, call her like Yahawah, by Hashem, Yahawahshi, by Hashem, Rakakadash, Shalom, to the next time, Yahweh Ratazah, which means Lord willing, and why, bye, ball.